Love it or hate it, you've certainly seen it, and it is definitely here to stay. Expected goals is an important statistic in modern football and one you simply have to understand. It's recently been added to the WhoScored.com website, so you're likely to see it as you browse through team and player pages. In this video, we'll explain what it is, how it's calculated, why that's useful, while also explaining some of the dangers and pitfalls surrounding misuse of the statistic too. Along the way, we'll give examples, allowing us to discuss some of the world's best players and teams in the process. Have you ever come away from a game thinking, wow, we hammered them, that could have been 4 or 5-0? Well, expected goals puts that thinking to the test, measuring the true threat a team poses by measuring the quality of their shots. So, to put it simply, XG is an attempt to determine how dangerous a shot on goal is, assigning it a value. A team's total XG for a game will be the total value of all of their shots added together. Now, the reason we need to determine this is because not all shots on goal are equal in terms of the danger they pose, so the traditional shots on target metric doesn't necessarily tell the whole story of a game. For example, you could watch 2 different games that see a team register 9 shots on target in each, but Team A took all of their shots from 50 yards, dropping them easily into the goalkeeper's arms, whereas Team B took all of their shots from inside the box, forcing the goalkeeper into a heroic display to keep them all out. Okay, that's an extreme example, but from a shots on target perspective, those teams' attacking threats look equal, but clearly one threat is far greater than the other, and that is where XG steps in. The XG value of a shot will take into account plenty of things, but most notably, how close it is to the goal, the angle to the goal, whether the shot was taken with the strong foot, the weak foot, or the head, and much more. The WhoScored XG model is calculated using historical shot data stretching back over 10 seasons, and it will give you a true sense of how likely that shot was to go in, and therefore, how big a chance it really was. Here's some reference points for you to bear in mind. A penalty comes in at 0.77 XG, as around 77% of penalties are scored. A one-on-one for a striker, with just the goalkeeper to beat, averages out at about 0.4, calling into question the old cliche that a forward is always the favourite in that scenario. And a shot from 20 yards sees a dramatic dip. Statistics show that's a 1 in 10 chance or less, and the further out you are, the worse those odds get. As the season progresses and the shots pile up, players and teams will record both goals and expected goals, enabling us to compare the two figures. And this is a really handy way of checking which players might be over or underperforming in front of goal and establishing which teams are creating good chances and which ones simply aren't. For example, in the Premier League right now, Son Heung-min, Jarrod Bowen, Leon Bailey, Diogo Jota and Elijah Adebayo have outperformed their XG by the biggest margin. In other words, they've scored more goals than statistically expected based on the shots they've taken. An important point to raise here is the top finishers regularly outperform their XG. It's a sign that they're one of the best in the game, capable of scoring in situations that others typically can't. For example, Son has a history of outperforming his XG. In fact, in the 2021-22 Premier League season, only Kevin De Bruyne did so to a higher degree than Son, who notched 23 goals from an XG of just 16.45. This proves that while his current finishing level is high, it is likely sustainable. By contrast, Bowen is a player that has typically performed less consistently in terms of XG. In that same 2021-22 season, he scored 12 goals from 12.01 XG, so exactly what you would expect. However, last season, Bowen was among the top 10 culprits for XG underperformance, scoring just 6 goals from an XG of 9.63. So it could be that he has found a new level to his game and now he's overperforming. Or it could be that he's hit a purple patch that soon slopes off. Or it could be that his position change, now often finding himself up front, has altered things further. That's the thing. XG over and underperformance can be for so many different reasons, it's often worth going deeper into why each player is experiencing it. At the other end of the scale, some players have had really tough seasons in front of goal and are hugely underperforming their XG. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the biggest culprit. Statistically, he's expected to have scored approximately 9 goals this season based on 51 shots taken. He's only got 3. Concerningly for Everton, their other number 9, Beto, is in the top 10 underperformers too. Darwin Núñez's presence in this list is likely linked to the fact that he scores the impossible ones but misses the sitters, while Erling Haaland has been racking up the big chances missed and is perhaps a shock inclusion here. It's the first season of his career that he has underperformed his XG though, so using the same logic as before, just reversed, you'd expect him to recover without issue, as he has a proven history of scoring loads and loads of goals. We can also compare goals to XG at a team level to ascertain which teams are suffering from poor finishing. Given Calvert-Lewin and Beto's struggles, it should not surprise you to see Everton right at the bottom, having scored just shy of 16 goals fewer than expected. Their XG of 44.84 is the 10th highest in the league, meaning from a chance creation perspective, they're a mid-table side. The only thing letting them down is finishing. Chelsea are also huge underperformers, reaffirming the season-long narrative that their true, crippling issue is that they just can't finish their chances. And at the other end, Arsenal are outstripping their XG by a healthy margin, but that's fairly normal for a top side, as it is for a top player. As revealing as this statistic is, there are times when it must be treated with caution. The misuse or misunderstanding of XG has led to some wrong conclusions, so we must be wary of its pitfalls. Single game XG values are worth noting, but can be warped. For example, a striker could miss a great chance, registering at 0.76 XG, then see the rebound fall to him and he slots it home. The second shot registers as another high value chance, perhaps crediting him with around 1.5 XG for what is essentially the same opportunity on goal. Now this won't affect a team's total XG, but it could heavily distort an individual player's. Then there's the opposite side of the coin. Say a fullback delivers an incredible cross into the box that splits the defence open, but the striker sliding in misses the ball by a millimetre. If there's no contact on the ball, there is no shot registered and therefore no XG. But you can't say it wasn't a huge chance created and then missed by a hair. These issues are inescapable, but only really cause problems when looking at XG values from single games. Over the course of a whole season and a much bigger sample size, it averages itself out and becomes reliably representative. So, that is XG explained. Used correctly, it can be a great tool for identifying which players and teams are running unsustainably hot or unusually cold and predicting changes in form. It can be used to identify the very best or worst finishes in the game and can help you tell if a team's problems is chance creation or if it's just finishing. Every top club in world football has a data department who lean on XG for analysis of performance. And now you can too, by simply scrolling the pages of the WhoScored.com website.